Hey guys, Gameboy 3800 here once again, and today I have two computers that I'm going to be doing some visual comparisons on. Why? Because they're both made by the same company, they're just different model or product lines. On the top here we have the Clevo D7T, or what's the bottom sticker say? D7TW. There was also the D700 and the D750. Quite a few different model names for different component configurations. And then beneath this is the Sager, or in this case Alienware, D900T. So we have the 700 series up here and the 900 series down here. Now, these are both fairly similar units, both similarly spec'd out, and we're just going to be going over some physical differences and similarities right now. So on the front of each unit you can see that they both have two hinge things to open up the screen, hinge locks, and you can also see that they both have some kind of display. The D900 is only a clock, but the D700, it is both the clock, disc light, battery, charge, and plug-in light. So it has everything. Everything except for the wireless light, scroll, num, and caps lock are all done on the little thing up here. And we're going to move over to the right side next. Wow. Heavy machines, like combined, this is probably 20 pounds. So on the right side you can see this is where they have their drives. The D900 has two drive bays. The D700 series also has two drive bays, but it is split up between this side and over here on the other side as well. And then, well, there's nothing else but a lock port on the 900 series, but on the 700 we get a Firewire, phone line, USB 2, speaker, another USB 2, and power input. And then moving to the back side, let's get that all into frame. Still can't see that. There we go. So on the back we have a lot of similar ports. So on the D700 we have DVI dual link, we have parallel printer, two USB ports, PS2 ports, and serial. And then there's of course venting and its lock port. Now on the D900 we have a similar story. With the ports we have the DVI dual link, we have the parallel port and the serial port, but we also have S-video output, and over here is where we have our phone line, and next to it a gigabit Ethernet. And then there's a rubber protector here that I can't get off. Can I get it off now? There we go. And here we have some video outputs. So S-video output and regular video, and that must be S-video or PS2 port, I mean. So similar ports all around, but the M700, not M77, well, it is the Alienware marked M7700, but it's still the Sager D9T. And that's about it for the back side. Left side, we have the other drive bay port. Here it is being occupied by a USB thing. I'll get to that in a minute. But this is where a floppy drive would be. I don't seem to have it. Left side is pretty bare otherwise. It's only got a SD card reader, a infrared port, and a speaker. And then I suppose this could be card readers or the floppy drive. The D900 series has a lot of things going on over here, so let's knock them all out. We have another S-Video, we have 4 USB 2s, dual FireWire, then a whole lot of audio jacks, and then instead of just an SD card, we have literally every kind of card reader available, along with, looks like PCI card. However, there is a PCI and a LAN port on this one as well. They're very well hidden, if I must say. And then IR blaster. And yeah, also under here is where there's some more venting. All the venting with the 700 series is out the back, but for the 900 series it goes out the back and out the side. I will show you the bottoms of it, I guess, right now. So, flipping over to D700. Let's get it one at a time. We have 4 big cooling fans. These 2 are for the processor and they go right out the back. And we have a third one that is just a system fan to keep their internal components nice and cool. That also goes out the back after going over some of the components. And then we have a video card fan that goes right out the back as well. So everything's away from you and good to go. Here's where we also see our battery. There's a long type of battery. What kind of battery? I'm not seeing what type of battery it is, but here you can, oh, there we are, lithium battery pack, or Li-ion, D700T battery. So yep, that's the other name this computer could have been. Let's get this battery back in. And let's move on to the D900. Flipping this over, we have a similar kind of story. We have 3 big cooling fans. We have the 2 CPU fans going directly out the back. And then we have a memory and system fan right here that also, after going over components, goes right out the back. The only real difference here is that the video card is here instead of where it would be right here. And it exhausts out the side here. And then this is a subwoofer. Not seen, I don't think, on the D700 series. And this battery is also different. It is screwed down. I can't get it out. But I'll show you. You can probably see D900 bat. So, that shows you what series it's for. And yeah, both of these computers have very similar specifications. They both have a desktop Pentium 4. They both have 2 gigabytes of memory, and they can both have the SATA device. But interestingly enough, I can only really show this to you on the D700, since it's the only one in its case I've ever seen. I'm going to move the camera over. Now take a look at this. This here's the hard drive bay. Standard hard drive, right? This is the standard SATA drive. And this is the SATA connector. But if you go ahead and take a look at the other connector, you can see that there's a parallel connector, or an IDE connector. This is the only laptop I've ever seen that has both type of main connections. So you could have more compatibility with this machine. Right now it's got a SATA drive, but if I needed it to, it could be an IDE. Just swap the caddy around. And you can see that the hard drive cover itself has little holders to make sure it doesn't go all around. And that is quite interesting. I have never seen another laptop do that ever. You just don't see two types of interfaces in one unit. Like, unless it's for the DVD drive and the hard drive, there's not going to be two different types of connectors in there. There just isn't. So let's move it back. And the D900 series, it's quite a bit different. It only has the two, it still has two hard drive connectors, but it is on a ribbon cable. And it is only for parallel, or PATA, or IDE, or whatever you call it. Quite a bit different. I think it's about time to fire these up. For that, this will need to be plugged into a USB. And I forgot to use a long enough extension cable, so I gotta plug in daisy chain another thing to it so that it will reach one of the side USB things up here. Actually, to keep it out of the way and off the edge, I'll plug it into one of the connections behind. So that's that. I'll get right back to you as soon as I got these two beasts plugged up. Okay, having both units opened up, I can get a look at their insides, their palm rests, their keyboards, their trackpads, and all that stuff. So, going over the keyboards, one has a number pad, one does not, but they are identical keyboards. They both come from the same line, so they both feel exactly the same. One feels a little bit more used, but you know, that's to be expected. And both have a left and right click, and they both have a dedicated scroll thing. The obvious difference is in the D700 series. You can see it's got a circular trackpad. It's a very uncommon thing. I don't think I've ever seen one quite like this before. So if you ever needed to do perfect Pac-Man shaped things, then here you go. And instead of a section on the trackpad for scrolling, it has a little wheel that can be clicked in. So it is like a normal mouse wheel. Although, with the Synaptic software, or whatever it's called, you can still give it a dedicated scroll region on the trackpad itself, kind of rendering this useless. But it is a weird scroll region because of the shape. Yeah. Now, taking a look up top, we have quite a few more media keys up here versus on the 900 series. And we just get basic tools like a Wi-Fi, web browser. Actually, we have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and then basic web browsers. So Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are not seen on this one over here. Instead, they are toggled through a function in one of the top F buttons. So I guess without further ado, let's get these two powered up. Oh, that one didn't want to power up. And we're going to go right to BIOS. Sometimes the Alienware doesn't quite like to go into BIOS. There we go. Okay, so you are now hearing a lot of noise. I'm going to move the camera over to the Alienware to start out with this one. And just taking a look at the BIOS, you can see that they are very similar. So they both have two IDE channels. The the Eleanor has both of them filled up with a CD drive or DVD drive. And the 700 has both. Well, only one of them filled up because it's only got the one drive. And you're hearing a lot more noise from the 700 series because the system fan it has, its header has died on the board. It would never come on otherwise, so I have rewired it to a USB connection so that it's always on and it doesn't overheat. And there goes the D900 cooling. Both fans are active, and we feel a nice warm breeze of air coming out the back. And they're both about equally loud. They have the same number of fans, and they all do the same thing. So they are about the same in loudness. Going to system information on both of them. We see two pretty similar stories. So on the Eleanor we have a video card of a 7800 GTX and BIOS build date. Well, it's slightly newer than what's over there, but what we can see here is a Pentium 4 at 3.6 gigahertz. And then we have 2 gigabytes of extended memory. And then moving over to the 700 series, we see that this has a 3.8 gigahertz Pentium 4, a little bit faster. And it's also got the same 2 gigabytes of memory, and the VBIOS build date is in 2004. So the main difference between these two cards, or these two computers, is that one is ATI, the other is AMD, the other is NVIDIA. So this featured up to, I believe, a Radeon X800. That's a 256 megabyte chip. And it was really good for the time. It was a good gaming computer. And then this has, as you saw, the 7800 GTX. I believe you could fit up to a 7900 GTX into this, but I have not seen a unit with that in it, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, these both would have been really good for their time. And I will test with the Eleanor to see if you can use the 7800 GTX even today. I cannot test the D700T because I have had horrible luck with video cards in it. The card in it now is, well, it displays video, but if you try to install a driver to it, it will just artifact and go like crazy and die. So yeah, that's no good. And then the two other video cards I have for it, we have this one here, and this one here. Neither one of them will display video at all. And I have yet to test the 7800 GTX for its full functionality, but it seems to be not terrible, at least at the moment. As for screens, they both seem to be about the same. They both seem to have about the same brightness. It seems that the Eleanor one is a tad brighter, and it seems to have slightly better contrast because it's got lighter grays. As you can see through the camera here, it's not too bad. But yeah. We're going to boot in the Windows onto the D700 and show you some more things here. and we'll just leave the Alienware one running in the background. We're going to focus our attention to the 700, and it's going to boot up and do all its own thing. It's got a not terribly new, but still good WD blue drive. And I don't know what the line going across the bottom of the screen is. Maybe it's some screen malfunction, but it does not seem to appear in Windows, so I guess it's okay. It could be a sign that the video card's going bad. I should mention that the speaker systems on these computers are also pretty similar. On the Alienware, we have the subwoofer on the bottom, these two speakers up front, and then these two speakers along the keyboard. We have a similar kind of story on the 700 series. We have a speaker bar going across the top here, and then we have two speakers on either side. And this seems to work relatively well. That's not terrible. I have the Wi-Fi turned off on this for a reason, to make sure it doesn't get the update for the dead Radeon X800. And yeah, right now we're at the desktop. And one of the final differences between these is that the D700 series uses DDR1 memory, and that really limits its maximum capacity for use. I have it maxed out right now at 2 gigabytes. Yep, 2 gigabytes. Screen resolution on the 700 series is 1450 or 1400 by 1050, I mean. And you could have the same resolution, or like 1400 by, you know, about the same, or you could fit up to a 1920 by 1200p display. And that would be very glossy, and it would be very colorful. This seems to have a matte display, and it's not a very good one. Huh. Also, that's as far as the screen tilts back. The 700 series goes much farther. I guess that's about it. Here, I will show you that the clock down there is only a clock, while over here it is a clock, a disk drive spinner, and a charge thing as well. You can see the charge icon. While on the Alienware, it's got the charge and plug-in things up at the screen. And the Alienware uses DDR2 memory opposed to the DDR1. An interesting thing to note is that the D900K version with the AMD CPU could have, well, that had DDR1 as well. I'm not entirely sure why, but, you know, what are you going to do? I'm going to go ahead and shut this one down. And tell the D700 series to shut down as well. And that has been the physical overview of these two machines. As soon as I get a copy of Windows on to the Alienware over there, there will be a more in-depth comparison between performance. One has a 3.6 gigahertz, one has a 3.8, but one has faster memory. And that will also be getting an SSD, while this has a standard hard drive. And I guess that'll be it. I guess the last physical thing we could go over is the top lid, but as you can tell, they're quite different. One is signature Alienware. If it was a ProStar or a Sager unit, it would just be more similar to this with the thing with a flat top and case badge. But this has the Alienware side grips and stuff with the rubber. And of course the glowing alien head. So I, didn't go too much into that. Thickness, they're both about the same. Weight, they're both about the same. Power, well, I think they're both still about the same. Well, they would be if that one had a working video card, but, what are you going to do? Anyways, if you enjoyed this long overview of these two old machines, then please go ahead and leave a like, favorite, comment, share, and of course subscribe for more. Thanks, Game Boy out. I will see you in the future.